card, we want to make some changes to it. For example, you may not want to keep the thank you in just a normal font on the cover, which is fine. We want to be able to customize it however you want. Before we do that, let's look at what was created. So I'm going to switch to the layers palette. And as we go into the layers palette, let's take a closer look at what layers are there. We'll start at the bottom here, and at the very bottom there's a background of white, which just represents the paper that you're printing it on. We have an image layer, which is separate, so the image can be, you can edit it a little bit here, but I wouldn't make any changes now. You really want to have the image the way you want it prior to making the card. The next layer is a text layer, which is thank you, and that's just the salutation. You can change what it says, change the font, change the effects. You can change anything you want in there. The next layer is branding, which is just that message on the back of the card. You can leave it as the default, or you can put in your own branding. And then the top layer is inside text, and that's just text that's laid out so that you can print it on the inside of the card. And obviously we'll have to turn the other layers off and print it, and we'll talk about printing inside text in a different video. So what we're going to do now is let's change the thank you to a different salutation. I'm going to double click on that, and at the very top of the toolbar here you can see the font, and we can change the font to whatever font we like. Let's come in here and change something else. We'll change it to Miss Stanford, which is kind of nice. And then the size of the font, I'd like to make it a little bit bigger, and we'll just keep thank you in there, but you can edit the thank you also. We're going to commit that change, and I can take this now with the move tool and place it wherever I want on the image or on the front of the card there. That really doctors up the card and makes it look a lot more personal, because you're going to pick fonts that you want. The reason we don't change or put in any fancy fonts at the beginning is the fonts that are used are really going to depend on what fonts are loaded on your machine. The next thing we want to do is we want to change the border. So let's take a real close look at the border here. This is the border. It's just a straight crop of the image with enough of a border to support the non-printable margin on most printers. If we go back to our actions and look down toward the bottom of the actions, the list, you're going to see a bunch of actions there that are called finishing your cards. We can put in a border, anything we want. There's a whole lot of options here. I'm going to select the one called Border Torn Edge, and then come down and run that action. And let's go back up now and look at what happened on the border of the image itself. We now have kind of a deckled or torn edge look to the image, and it just makes it look a little bit better on the front of the card. There's lots of options there that you can play with, and I'd say just get at it and try different options. On most of the finishing options, you can run multiple finishing options and just see how it looks. If it doesn't work, start over again and try a different card. But there's a lot of different options that you can have here. I'd say grab some images that you want and start creating some greeting cards.